Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to Book Summary 5. I'm Sammy, your host, and today, we're diving into Fire by John Boyne, the third installment in his Elemental Quartet. If water was about guilt and isolation, and earth about rage and reckoning, fire burns with confrontation, both social and personal. This is Boyne at his boldest and most contemporary, tackling cancel culture, moral panic, and the question that haunts modern life. Who gets to judge, and who gets to be redeemed? It's sharp, uncomfortable, and deeply human. Let's step into the flames, so you'll feel like you have read it cover to cover. Our story centers on Patrick, a middle-aged novelist living in Dublin. He's successful, or at least he was one of those writers who enjoyed literary fame, critical praise, and the cushioned arrogance that often comes with it. But when fire begins, that life is falling apart. Patrick has been publicly shamed, cancelled, as people would say, after a social media storm surrounding something he wrote, a passage in his last book that many readers called offensive, cruel, and outdated. Overnight, his reputation burns to ash. Patrick's life spirals quickly. His publisher drops him. His agent stops calling. His once loyal readers turn on him. Even his friends, those who toasted his success for years, distance themselves. The novel opens with him leaving Dublin, retreating to a quiet house in the countryside, consumed by anger, self-pity, and disbelief. He insists he's the victim of an overreactive world. But as we soon discover, the truth isn't so simple. Boyne crafts Patrick as neither hero nor villain. He's flawed, defensive, but also intelligent, introspective, and painfully real. Through his inner monologue and bitter observations, we begin to see that this isn't just about being cancelled. It's about ego, pride, and the blind spots that success can create. Patrick is angry at the world, yes, but beneath that anger is shame, loneliness, and fear of irrelevance. We learn that Patrick's offense wasn't a single tweet or public outburst, but the culmination of years of insensitivity and arrogance. He'd mocked younger writers, dismissed women's voices, and written books that, while brilliant, were cruel in ways he refused to see. When confronted, he dug in deeper, claiming artistic freedom as a shield. The public turned on him, and he never saw it coming. But Fire isn't just a commentary on cancel culture. It's a study of how people burn down their own lives and what, if anything, can rise from the ashes. Is Patrick's downfall deserved? Maybe. But Boyne refuses to make it simple. Because while Patrick is arrogant, he's also human. He begins slowly to reflect not in grand confessions, but in the quiet realizations that come from isolation. Out in the countryside, Patrick starts to reconnect with ordinary people who don't care about his fame, neighbors, a local librarian, a young woman who challenges his worldview. Each encounter chips away at his self-importance. There's a striking scene where he meets a young man who's read his older novels. Instead of condemning him, the man thanks him for something small but genuine. It's a moment of humility, a spark in the ashes, a hint that not all is lost. As the story unfolds, Patrick begins writing again, not for an audience but for himself. The pages become an act of penance, not performance. Through this process, he starts to see his past not as a misunderstood genius would, but as a man capable of harm. The fire of public judgment, which he once viewed as destruction, becomes something else, purification. Painful, yes, but cleansing. Boyne cleverly blurs the line between Patrick's story and his own literary world, making Fire feel like a mirror, one held up to both writer and reader. It's meta, provocative, and often deeply uncomfortable. The novel asks whether moral outrage always leads to justice, or if it sometimes just replaces understanding with noise. But it also reminds us that accountability and compassion don't have to cancel each other out. By the end, Patrick hasn't been redeemed in some grand, cinematic way. He's not forgiven by the world. But he has changed. He has faced the mirror. The fire that destroyed his life also illuminated it. He begins to live quietly, honestly, stripped of the illusions that once defined him. And maybe for the first time, he becomes a better man and a better artist. Fire is fierce, layered, and unflinching. It's about the heat of shame, the spark of conscience, and the possibility that from even the fiercest blaze, something truer can emerge. John Boyne writes with the same courage he demands from his characters, never looking away, even when the light burns. Thank you for joining me today on Book Summary 5. If you love this journey through Boyne's elemental worlds, stay tuned, because the final chapter of the quartet, Air, is on the horizon. Until next time, keep questioning, keep reflecting, and as always, happy reading.